Hi, Benji here, and I want to talk about why accent-based small talk is rarely neutral and should generally be avoided. This person, who was born and raised in Hong Kong and is based in London, is facing criticism for saying she experienced racism at work because a colleague she just met asked her, "Are you from the UK? Because you have an accent, I was wondering where you're from." The main pushback being that it's human to be curious about someone's accent if it's not local, and that the person asking wasn't trying to be racist but was making small talk. All of that can definitely be true, and intent does matter. However, especially with people you don't know well, accent-based small talk is rarely neutral in how it functions and lands. Accents are heavily socially coded. How people speak is regularly used to infer things like where they're from, how competent they are, and whether they belong. Those inferences are already present before any individual interaction takes place, which means they shape how accent-based comments are received regardless of intention. Curiosity doesn't change what's being activated when someone comments on how someone else speaks, and in most cases it prompts an explanation of background or legitimacy, which is how racialized forms of exclusion often operate in everyday interactions. This is especially relevant in professional settings, where people are constantly assessing how they're being perceived and whether they fit in, and there's a shared duty to ensure the environment is safe for all. I think a basic principle of making conversation is asking questions the other person is likely to want to answer and continue engaging with. And accent-based questions too often fall short, especially early on, because they rely on an assumption that the accent is unusual in a way that requires explanation. There's also an issue with assuming someone is not from a place because they don't have a commonly associated accent. Many people live in the UK for years, build a life here, and consider themselves to be from here, even if their accent reflects migration or time spent elsewhere. Accent doesn't reliably indicate belonging, and expressing an assumption that it does can be othering. How it lands will depend on context and the individual. But when we're around people we don't know well, particularly at work, we should take responsibility for reducing the risk of asking questions that may make people feel like they don't belong. Hope that helps. Bye.